Big Questions with the Dead Milkmen.
This week's question is name your, well, it's more of a statement or a favor. Hey guys,
you can say what are your
top five favorite band names?
None of your fucking business.
And you can have a runner-up, I guess, because I do. But if you, this was hard because there was a lot. And then also 5 of your least favorite band names. And it doesn't have to necessarily be a band you like or have even heard. You just like the name, or if you have a reason you like it. So mine are in no particular order, but I always like the name The Who. Not even that huge of a fan of the band, but I thought that it was the coolest name. When I was a kid and I heard there was a band called The Who, I laughed probably all day. I heard their music and I was like, oh, that's cool. But just always thought about, like whatever someone says, like, what's your band called? Like The Who? Like I don't know. It's like an Abbott and Costello joke forever. Meat Puppets. Even when I say it now, I laugh at the name. And a great band, like very diverse, kind of experimental band. But the name kind of suits them, I think. I always think of Meat Puppets as like a small human like puppet, like fleshy. I also like the Breeders, and I thought that was a cool name for a band, especially with females. And I believe, as far as I know, the Deal sisters don't have kids. So it's even, I don't know, seems even more
ironic.
Yeah. You know how much I love irony. And sarcasm. Shadowy Men on a Shadowy Planet. Incidentally, the band that provides music for Kids in the Hall. But they have 3, I guess, full albums and a bunch of singles, and it's all good. You guys played with them, I think, right?
Yeah, we played with them in Austin years ago.
They're a Canadian, I guess, kind of surf band. They're mostly instrumental, and it's just a great name, Shadowy Men on a Shadowy Planet. Just takes up a lot of space. And I also really like Dow Jones and the Industrials as a band too. But the name always, and it's not always just about like thinking it's funny, but it's something that I like think of a lot. I don't know, when I think of like bands and the names. There's so many others. I might keep this list going. But least favorite, this is an even bigger list, I think, but The Killers. I think that's the stupidest, like, least creative name for a band, like trying to sound nothing like this band sounds like, by the way, which is shit. I hate the band. I think they sound terrible. Speaking of the band, come on. The band, like, you guys, really?
Try harder. Yeah.
We could have a whole episode about why, I don't know. Kiss. Also, which I may do a follow-up question, like, what is the top 5 bands you absolutely despise? Kiss might be number 1 for me. I can't stand one note of any song of theirs. I can't stand anything about them, and the name is so stupid.
It's not. Kiss isn't a stupid name if you think of it as standing for Knights in Satan's Service.
Yes.
All those religious books that, it really stands for Knights in Satan's Service. Yeah.
Slayer stands for Satan laughs as you eternally rot.
AC/DC, Antichrist, Devil Child. Yeah, I wish that if you come up with that makes it a better thing. Like, if Kiss, I could forgive them if they were actually, stood for Knights in Satan's Service.
No, it doesn't. U2. I don't like the band either. I mean, the early stuff's okay. It's but come on, the letter U and the numeral 2.
No one cares who these guys are. They're Franklin.
In case I'm freaking out, if people haven't heard that. And Dave Matthews Band. Just his name, and I'm sorry to anybody if anybody's watching this that happens to be also named David Matthews, but I can't stand his voice or anything. And you know what? I could go on about this too. When bands are somebody's name, it's like, all right, Alanis Morissette. Okay, like I'm the bass player of Alanis Morissette, but like I'm in the Dave Matthews Band. It's like his band. We're just there. Like if we were like Rodney Anonymous and the other three guys.
Oh, and I've thought of that.
Yeah, and I can't stand his music. I think I said that already.
But do you think there's some aspect of this, like, because you hate the band so much, you hate the name?
I don't like the idea of naming a band after somebody in it. It just seems weird to me. But I guess like Bob Dylan, like whatever. It can't be like,
well, they're the artist and they just have whoever play for them.
Yeah, there's so many band names out there. There's unlimited number of band names, and people choose like their name band or like the Alan Parsons Project.
I've used the Dave Matthews Band as a form of birth control for a long time. I hear their music and I can't get an erection. I also use them as an epicac, by the way. My show's off the rails, people.
Oh, God.
I haven't slept in a while.
Well, on that note, the runner-up is Flock of Seagulls.
I love Flock of Seagulls.
For good.
Were they like, guys, what are we going to call the band? Oh, we're at the beach. I don't know. Why? Come on.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, that's it for now.
Okay, those are all very good choices. My top favorite, at this moment, I think this probably changes from time to time, but and these aren't in really any particular order, but a band name that I really like is X, and they happen to be a really fantastic band.
Yeah.
But X is like really freaking cool. Another band from back in the day who we've played shows with and we're friends with them, Camper Van Beethoven. I like that name. It's ridiculous, but I like it.
Yeah.
I still like it. Another band that I like, but I've never seen them play live. I don't know if they've ever played Philadelphia. They're from Austin, Texas. And as far as I know, they're still making music. Is called And You Will Know Us by the Trail of Dead.
Yeah.
Which I always thought was a pretty cool name. A little hard to put on a poster or a bill of a club. Another band that I really, really like, and I always thought their name and their like graphics were really cool, is Pylon. And another band that band name that I think is really cool is Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem from the Muppets. It's an awesome, it's a Dr. Teeth, Dan. I don't know, will you accept Dr. Teeth?
All Muppet names are great, like River Bottom Nightmare Band. They're all Muppet band names are fantastic.
I would accept ones that you guys made up too. Like I have a whole list of, I come up with them almost every day, like The Dick Moves.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So those are 5 that I like. I'm sure there's many more, and I'm sure that, they're not really top 5. They're just 5 that I think are really good. 5 that I can't really stand. And let me look here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think all 5, I don't know if I've ever heard a song by any of these bands. And I don't have any desire to seek out listening to any of these bands. So number 1 on my list is Diarrhea Planet. One of the worst band names ever. They're from Nashville, I understand. They're not together anymore. They're not playing music or releasing songs or whatever. Yeah, and I'm happy about that because I think the band name sucks. Another one is actually a popular artist right now who actually my son actually told me recently that he really likes, but I can't stand the name. It's mostly a project by a young woman who I'm sure is a very nice person, but I don't like the name. Soccer Mommy. Just that's wrong. That's not good. Come up with something better,
There's so many
please.
levels. There's just nothing.
Yeah. Another one that I've heard over the years, but I've never knowingly listened to any of their music, and I have no idea what they sound like. Hoobastank. Hoobastank. Hoobastank.
Say it again.
Hoobastank. The fourth one on my list is a band which I chuckled at when I heard the name, but it is one of the dumbest names ever. Test Icicles. I think they're British. Oh, they're so very clever. Test Icicles. And the last band that I have on my list, and I've never heard their music, I understand that maybe they're popular with the punk crowd. Bowling for Soup. I don't know anything about them, other than that their name is terrible. And that's it. That's my list. Those are my lists.
And we'd like the Gothsicles to know that although Test Icicles is not good, we are 100% fine with the Gothsicles.
Yes.
And the Causticals, which is caustic and the Gothsicles. We got no problem with these fellas. I had a feeling that this episode was going to turn into that sketch, and I predicted this, from The Whitest Kids You Know, where they're sitting around and it's just a bunch of ridiculous stripper club names. They're like, let's go to Areola 51. No, let's go to Behind the Beef Curtains. No, how about ST Double Ds? And then they discover that the strip clubs are closed, the straight strip clubs. So they decide to go to the gay strip clubs. And this is when the names get fantastic. How about we go to Norman Cockwell's family dinner? And then my personal favorite, watching Taint Dry. So moving on for that, I am a sucker for any sort of band name that is a play on words or a play on somebody's name. Joe, your brother had come up with a band name at one point. I don't know if he ever had the band Truman Peyote, which I thought was fantastic.
That's a really good one.
Yeah. I of course love the name Lana Del Rabies, and I love Lana Del Rabies' act. That I think is brilliant. Olivia Neutron-John, who unfortunately got sued by Olivia Newton-John and had to drop the name, which makes me worry about this one. Joseph Gordon Levitation. Now, Joseph Gordon Levitation, I don't think is an actual band. I came up with them this morning. But if you want to use that, and he probably won't sue. He seems like a nice guy. I get the feeling he keeps getting mentioned on the show, so we'll probably get to meet his lawyers at some point. But so I came up with that you can use that one. That's one of my own. And one of my personal favorite band names for a long time has been How Green Is My Toupee, which I love that. It's a really good band. Now, since two of my bands that I mentioned, I don't think exist. I don't think Joe's brother ever went forward with Truman Peyote, and I made up Joseph Gordon Levitation. I'm actually going to recommend the band named Christ versus Warhol, which I've always loved. And also, I want to give some props to the band Live Not on Evil from Philly, because their name is a palindrome. It's the same backwards as forwards, which is being very clever. It's like a man, a plan, a canal, Panama. Speaking of Panama, the band Van Halen took their name from a 1950 science fiction novel. There's a character in it called Van Halen. All right, so moving on, I just have two things I need to mention. One is our friend Kurt Brenneman, once when we were sitting around drinking beer with him, came up with the idea of having a band called Super Friends. And it would be like a really, really angry hardcore band, but you get booked at a lot of children's parties. Children backed into a corner screaming. And it's back. Cream Magazine is back, I just found out. But when I was young, I was reading Cream Magazine. In the middle of some article about some band, they just began printing this guy's letter where he was sitting around getting high, and he just thought of blank and the blanks as names. And one of my favorite ones that sticks out in my head to this day, and I read this when I was maybe 13, was Poindexter and the Owls. So somebody needs to use that. Okay, so popping onto that, horrible band names. First one, Up With People. If you can't make Up With People, you can't make fun of that. And they were a horrible, I think they were like a religious sing group. They would show up at like halftime shows. A friend of mine blinded one of them once. That's another story. That's followed by Tony Orlando and Dawn. Dawn is two people. Why can't the band just be called something? And I know
Oxford comma? No.
Yeah, I know Tony Orlando went through a dark period where he was surrounded in a institution by a bunch of people clapping while he was on the toilet going, "Go, go, we want to see a star go." And I'm hoping that nobody turns that into a song. Go, go. No, it's not funny, and he had issues. All right, Vampire Weekend. God, I hate hipsters. Hipsters will come up with these band names, and they sound like what it's not going to be. Vampire Weekend. You expect it to be like very dark, like some sort of dark wave or
gothy, yeah.
Death rock. No. They by also any band with beach in the name. Hipsters love the beach, so it's like Beach House, like Best Coast, which counts as a beach thing. Yeah, you shouldn't have the Beach Boys. I'm not a huge fan of, except for of course the fact that they did team up with Charles Manson, another Charles Manson reference. And just those are just terrible names. Try to avoid the beach in your names. And if you can, take your name from a movie. A lot of great bands have got their names from movies. Black Sabbath. I used to for band names, I would open a book of movies. I used to put my finger down. And I was in a band called Burn Witch Burn once because I put my finger on the name Burn Witch Burn. And I just missed being in a band called Benji the Hunted. But if you want to be in a band called Benji the Hunted, definitely play a gig with Joseph Gordon Levitation. All right, thank you. Those are my picks. I hope I didn't miss anything. I was typing furiously tonight.
Well, I also picked Meat Puppets. Sorry about that, but okay. I like that name. I agree with Dan, and I like the band too. Yeah. I also like the Dead Kennedys, which I think is a much better name than Dead Milkmen.
Anything's a better
name. When I found out about them, it was 1981, and I already had the name the Dead Milkmen, but I thought, oh man, that's a much better name. I didn't want to be the Dead Milkmen anymore, but that's another story. But I think they're also a good band. Short-lived. I guess they're back again, but not as the same. I love the band name The Matt Johnson's band. It might be the or the, but I call him the.
I think.
The. Okay. I just thought that's very clever and minimalist. And I like the band MDC, which stood for Millions of Dead Cops, but then they changed it severely, and they were millions of damn Christians. They were millions of dead children. They were a multi-death corporation, but they're mostly, I guess, known as Millions of Dead Cops. And they're back together again. I think the only original member is Dave Dichter. So how many is that? That's 4. And I like the Crucifix.
Oh yes,
a play on the crucifix. And one of the most, for back then, a very controversial or offensive name. And they tried to be offensive. They went out of their way to be offensive, especially lyrically. They had a semi-hit called Hinckley Had a Vision.
He had a vision.
Yes. And their singer had an annoying high-pitched voice.
Doc Dart.
Doc Dart, right? Yes.
Yeah, and I think I'm trying to remember the story now. Dave, when Dave and I were trying to book our first tour, I think we called them up from the scene reports.
Michigan, yeah. They're
Maxim and Rock and Roll to try to get a show up there. And I think maybe his wife answered or something, and she said something like, "Oh, he's outside there's a thunderstorm and he's trying to catch lightning or something like that. I was like, okay.
I think we did play with the
We played with
Crucifix
them
in
twice.
Vancouver or something. didn't we?
No, we
played
played
with
with
them
them in
twice.
New Haven, Connecticut.
Yeah, and another time too. At least twice. I know we did. And Steve Shelley was there. He
was the drummer at the time. Yeah.
Even I guess later of Sonic Youth, but he was their original. He was the Crucifix original drummer.
Yep.
So, and honorable mention, since I took one name already that's been used, I'll go with Rumplestiltskin Grinder. Rumpelstiltskin Grinder. You remember them? Of course.
Rumple Foreskin is a
Rumple Foreskin. I don't know that one.
just came up with it.
I don't know. I just find that name amusing, Rumpelstiltskin Grinder. And they're very screamy. Screamo.
I feel like, did they play the Bungalow or something?
Yeah, they play with the low budgets, I think. If not, maybe not with us, but definitely at the Bungalow. Okay, worst names. I really don't like bands where your band name, when you have to do a search on it in Google, and you have to actually say band to differentiate from anything else. I think that's lazy band naming, but I'll just say these names: Chicago, Boston, Kansas, America, and Europe. There you go.
If you name your band after a place, your band is going to suck.
What about Journey?
Well, it's not a.
Well, I'm out now. Journey
Not
is
a place, but
I'm going to journey from Boston to Kansas and maybe
Exactly.
Chicago. Yeah.
In America, then go into Europe. Wasn't Asia a band too?
Asia was a band, yeah.
I could have put that.
In the heat of the moment. I can't believe nobody mentioned what a god-awful name the Beatles is.
You know what? I'm glad you
It's
mentioned
clever.
that.
We're going to spell it B-E-A. No wonder the Exxon Mobil network gave them like a 96-hour documentary. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you mentioned the Beach Boys earlier, because that's a band I wanted to bring up where I like the band and I hate the name. It is the stupidest name. It just, I get it for the beginning of what they were doing, but for what the band did after that, it just seems like, why? I don't know. I guess it was too late to change it, but that's another big question, like band name changes. We'll talk about that. I think I just totally cut Joe off. We were talking.
No, I was done.
Oh, you did all 5. Oh yeah, the countries or the state.
Yeah, he talked about anything, usually with it. I had an example of where that wasn't right, where the exception to the rule, and it's going to bug me for the rest of my life, like what it was. I say they're all awful except for
25 Cromwell Street.
Lebanon Hannover.
Hmm.
One of the greatest bands on the planet. Yeah, out on tour now, I think. If you people at home don't know what I'm talking about, there's no hope for you. I don't know why you're watching a music show. I don't.
This is a music show? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what this is. No, this is just me holding up pictures of us to the camera. We should move on. This might be one of my favorite episodes.
All right. Recommendations. I would like to recommendate knitting. I have been trying to make knitting like a hobby of mine for a long time now, since my youngest son was born. He's 11. And I have tons of these like half finished things or half started things and swatches and my nervous knitting where I've got like, and you know what? I'm going to encourage anybody who's curious about knitting, do that. It's helpful. Like, it's not just like helpful in the sense that I'm learning how to knit. It's also very like cathartic too. It's like, you can kind of meditate doing it. I started making these bags just randomly. And like, you can put, I was going to put, I've made a couple of these and put like a drawstring kind of thing. And it's pretty small, but you can put like, you know, eyeballs or something in there.
Keep your test icicles in there.
Yeah, you know what? This could be like a
Keep them warm. Yeah.
sack for your testicles.
Testicle cozy.
Ooh, ball sack. and it's knitted, so it stretches. That's mine. That's my recommendation. Knit.
I would like to recommend a YouTube channel. The channel is by a gentleman named Ted Woodford, and he is a luthier, and luthier is a guitar maker / repair guy. He's based in Canada. His repair videos are sublime. He also, I think in the past he's made guitar, but I think right now he's focusing on repairs. You got to check out his videos. He gives you a little history of the guitar. He gets some funky old guitars in sometimes. And one of the scariest things you can do is watch a luthier take the neck off of an acoustic guitar and reset it. And he does this all the time. So check it out. The YouTube channel of Ted Woodford. We'll provide a link.
Martin Luther started the Reformation when he nailed a Gibson to a church door.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to have to move quickly here. All right, so I'm going to recommend a bunch of stuff. So brace yourselves, folks. From 2014, it's the movie What We Do in the Shadows. It took me forever to get to see it, and I'm an idiot for taking forever. It is a brilliant mockumentary about a group of vampires living together in Wellington. That movie gave birth to the series What We Do in the Shadows, which takes place on Staten Island and is fantastic, and it features Matt Berry. Matt Berry, some of you might know from Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, one of my favorite shows of all time. He's a guy with that remarkable voice. It's really, really good. There's an episode in the first season of What We Do in the Shadow of the series called The Trial, and there's one of the darkest jokes in TV history about a baby. They set it up and they keep going back to it. So I just love this show. It's cheered me up. I haven't seen, there's another spinoff from the movie What We Do in the Shadows called Wellington Paranormal. I haven't seen it. It's on HBO. I'm eventually going to get around to seeing it. I get the feeling it's going to be good because anything that takes place in New Zealand is hilarious. God, I hope my sister's not watching. And then the last thing I'm going to recommend, this is going to air on Saturday. So you missed my radio show's 10th anniversary, which is probably going to have lots of funny band names in it, on Friday night, but you can catch it again Sunday night at 7 p.m. There'll probably be a graphic right now, but yeah, if you want to tune into that. If you don't, I can't help you.
I'd like to recommend a blog called Music You Possibly Won't Hear Anyplace Else on Blogspot. It's basically it's music that's really never been digitized until now, and the blogger digitizes the music and puts links up so you can get MP3s, or puts links to YouTube sites where you can hear the music. And he writes little blurbs about everything. It's like mostly stuff from the 40s to the 60s, but I find it interesting. His latest post is all about Merv Griffin, because Merv Griffin's birthday was a few days ago, July 6th. Apparently.
He's got a lovely bunch of coconuts.
Yes, and that's one of the songs. I think. But yeah, it's like.
And you're going to have to knit him a cozy.
Lullaby of the Leaves, Falling in Love with Love, things like that. I don't know, but I find it interesting.
Did Mike Douglas show up on his?
It's free music. I don't know if Mike Douglas ever.
Where did he find this stuff? Like in thrift stores, or like
he's
robbing people?
He doesn't say where. Usually, sometimes he says where he finds it, but not always. But I'm guessing these may be stuff that he collects, but it might be thrift stores. It reminds me of stuff you could find in thrift stores years ago. Oddities. He's from. His name is Lee Hartsfeld, and he's from Ohio. That makes sense. He is a church organist right now. He was in the Navy for 8 years. I don't know. Read about it on the blog. I'll just put the link in the notes, in the links.
You know, the great thing about the name Butthole Surfers was that when they were having the PMRC hearings, they never brought up the Butthole Surfers. And the reason they didn't was because none of the people from the PMRC and their affiliated, idiots could say Butthole Surfers without smiling and laughing. and they decided that they weren't going to mention them at all. Yeah, you cannot say
they're off the hook.
Yeah.
Wow. They were a runner-up too.
Yeah, it works out. When you first hear it, you're like, oh, okay.
I also like the band 2.5 Children Incorporated from a Philly band. I think that's a cool name.
Anything with like an incorporated in it, like Conform Co. Great band name. Well,
thank you, fellas.
Oh, you're welcome, young fella. I got to get down to the South 40 and tie Zeke to the barbed wire.
Hi, everybody.
I'm going to go get some gingham. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. What the hell is gingham?
I don't know, but I go through a lot of it.